What I'm about to read you is straight up crazy. Are you ready? Project 2025, the far-right program stacked with Trump allies. Project 2025. It's this roadmap for a Trump presidency if he wins. It is 900 pages long. It's a manifesto from Donald Trump's closest allies. Here's a passage from that plan. The Department of Health and Human Services should return to being known as the Department of Life by explicitly rejecting the notion that abortion is health care. Prioritizing border security and immigration enforcement, including detention and deportation, is critical if we are to regain control of the border, repair the historic damage done by the Biden administration. The director must remain politically accountable to the president in the same manner as the head of any other federal department or agency. And, quote, the Department of Education should be eliminated because it is part of a woke cartel. And there is plenty more. We have talked about Project 2025 a lot on this program, but there is one person who definitely does not want to talk about it these days, and that's Donald Trump. The former president took to social media this weekend to deny any knowledge or involvement in the plan. Well, maybe the former president has not been watching our show, but the truth matters here. And here is the truth. Those names that you see on your screen right now, those are all the former Trump officials that are the key people working on Project 2025. For more, I want to bring in Ahmed Baba, columnist for The Independent and author of the AhmedBaba.news. And Dave Weigel's still with us. Ahmed, I want to start with you because in his post, Trump says he knows nothing about 2025. And then he goes on to say that he, quote, disagrees with some things in it and wishes those behind it luck. What do you make of this denial?
I mean, it's a fanciful notion, right? To say there's a separation between Trump and Project 2025 is to claim there's separation between hydrogen and water. You know, they're symbiotic. They feed each other, right? So what we have is Trump has implemented 64% of the Heritage Foundation's recommendations in the first year of his original term, right? And now we have 26 of 36 of the authors and editors listed in Project 2025's playbook were former Trump administration officials, transition officials, campaign officials, and you can't deny it. And if they wanted to hide it, maybe they shouldn't have listed all the authors and their titles right there in the table of content, right? So they have this undeniable tie to one another. We have Russell Vought, which I really want to point out you have here, Trump's former OMB director, self-proclaimed Christian nationalist. Not only is he responsible for Project 2025's first 180-day plan, he was just announced by the Trump campaign and the RNC as the RNC's policy director for their platform writing committee. So the only separation here is it's a fake one, right? It is an attempt to distance himself from something that is wildly unpopular, wildly extremist, and it's a response to this inflection point of popularity and notoriety, essentially, that's been hit here with Taraji P. Henson, with the Stop Project 2025 task force, with people like you and people like us who have been out here warning about this. So it's really just, it's a sign that our push to elevate this is working.
I want you to just repeat yourself on this one point, because Trump is basically saying, don't know this thing, don't know these guys, good luck. But there is a key member of this group who is now the policy director of the upcoming RNC. Can you tell our audience this one more time? I just want you to underline it for us.
So Russell Vought is a key architect of Project 2025. Not only did he work as the OMB director, he's reportedly in consideration to be Trump's chief of staff next year. And he is working on the RNC platform. And this tells you that I personally believe, and what I think evidence suggests, is Project 2025 is the real Republican platform, not this list of watered down objectives that they laid out this week, right? And he is a self-proclaimed Christian nationalist. We have Josh Hawley talking about this. We have this entire apparatus of Christian nationalism that is really feeding this. And they try to water down their abortion stance, but as we see, they're trying to target mifepristone through backdoor methods through the Administrative state that they're going to reconstruct. And another thing about this separation here, I want to note, they say that Trump says he disagrees, right? Then why do you have on your campaign website right there, Agenda 47, anyone can look it up, the key objectives like purging civil servants in the executive branch, bringing the FTC and the FCC into the White House control, targeting LGBTQ rights, invoking the Insurrection Act. All of these things that are key tenets of Project 2025 are directly listed on Trump's website. So to claim you disagree, it's a lie. It's a blatant attempt to gaslight the public about an extremist agenda that's incredibly unpopular, that Americans are giving justified backlash to.
Dave, what do you think about this? Because Donald Trump stayed uncharacteristically quiet after the debate, but he immediately responded to reports about his involvement in 2025. Why do you think that is?
You set it up in a really smart way. Yes, he's getting a lot of credit from even some Democrats for not pouncing on Biden's mistakes right now or Democratic disarray. This was a strange thing for him to do because what the Trump campaign had been doing for more than 6 months through a statement that they would send every reporter. If you were writing about Project 2025, they would say, this is not the Trump campaign. There's only one Trump agenda. Donald Trump is going to say it. They were getting some assistance from the Heritage Foundation. Kevin Roberts, when Trump distanced himself, did not disagree with this. They designed this project, and Heritage does this every 4 years. What's new this year is the staffing part of Project 2025. The idea that they're building a LinkedIn of people who could staff the administration, who'd be reliable conservatives and enact the agenda, unlike people who worked for Trump in the first term. None of that changed. Trump just drew attention to it by talking about it and disavowing it. They did not say, for example, the Trump administration is not going to hire anyone who has anything to do with Project 2025. And talking to conservatives today at a conference that included lots of veterans in the administration, some people who'd worked on parts of the mandate for leadership of this document, they did not think they were going to be iced out of the Trump administration. So this is the only gift that the Trump people have given the Biden campaign is this statement that says something that no one really believes who's covering these races. No one who's covering the potential Trump administration thinks that people who wrote very detailed documents about how to govern, or in Ross Vought's case, one thing I'd add, he's working on an unpublished executive orders that Trump could sign. No one thinks they're not going to be part of the administration, or those ideas are not going to be incorporated, or the staffers who are being vetted are not going to be part of this. So drawing attention to this was just probably the only blunder they've made all month.
And now they have drawn attention to it. Ahmed, I want to play some sound, actually, from the president of the Heritage Foundation, which, as we've said, is really like the moving force behind Project 2025. And it's what he said shortly after the Supreme Court immunity ruling. Watch this.
We are going to win. We're in the process of taking this country back. We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
What do you make of this, Ahmed? Have we ever heard something like this before?
Well, I mean, violence isn't a tool of authoritarian movements. We saw this in the January 6th committee, the January 6th riot, right? It was used as part of a multifaceted effort to push authoritarianism in the U.S. So what we're seeing here, if it was just rhetoric and not coupled with actual policy agendas, maybe it would be one thing. But they're actually talking about invoking the Insurrection Act, right, and using it against protesters. So bloodless, if the left allows it, sounds like a threat to me. It sounds like something where if you plan to invoke Insurrection Act and target migrants, put them in detention camps, target protesters, it's really just a threat. It's violent rhetoric, and it's classic authoritarianism here that they're pushing. They're using 20th century authoritarian fascist tactics, and they're repeating it shamelessly. And really, this shamelessness is what is at the core of all this, and actually could be their downfall, because they're really cocky about their extremism and putting it in our faces. And I think Americans now have an opportunity to reject this, and this has been a really illuminating, informative experience for everybody. And Kevin Roberts is out here making sure that we all know exactly how extreme their plans truly are.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more, September 7th in Brooklyn. MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.